You've been talking about questions. What kinds of questions do you think are most important for people to ask?
First thing to understand when I say that listening is such an important tool, it's equally important to understand that it's the questions that you consistently ask that define your leadership. If you only ask it once, they just think you've been to a seminar and you're acting bizarre. My goal is, what are questions that, as a leader, we want to consistently ask? One that I have talked about before and quite frequently is a question that I learned from my manager, which is, what's working for you? It's an unsettling question because most people are focused on problems. You go to your typical manager and they're running around problem solving. Got any problems? Got any problems? No problems, get out of here. I think we ought to be asking people, what are some of the solutions you found? One that Tom Peters asks often is, what are you doing differently? Well, if you ask that question every week, pretty soon people are saying, hey, bingo, the boss wants me to do something different. First time you ask it, they've been to a seminar and they're acting bizarre. It's the staying power of a question that gets through. If you want people to get involved with education, what have you been reading or what programs have you been attending that you've learned something that would make a difference to our company? First time you ask that, you go, nothing, I'm just watching television. But as soon as you ask that question repeatedly, people start to get the emphasis you want people to read.
Sometimes I feel like when people are asking questions, there's kind of a hidden agenda behind their questions. So I begin to sort of try to figure out where their questions are really taking me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Questions should always reflect what you already talk about in value. In other words, if I'm going to build a compelling vision and the values that drive who I am, my behavior in the questions I ask ought to be pretty transparent. If I say, what kinds of quality efforts have you been involved with, and one of the values that I have talked about as a leader is quality, then yes, there is a hidden agenda, unless you've listened to me for the last 3 to 4 months. So our goal is to make sure that the questions reflect what we actively talk about. What's working for you is a commitment that I know you're going to have better ideas than I will have at times, and I want to tap them. When I ask, what are you doing differently, I see you as creative, and I value the creativity and innovation. The real point is the questions should be authentic, and they should come from the substance of what you value as a leader and as a corporation.
Sometimes when we ask questions, it makes people feel defensive, put on the spot. How do you avoid that?
When people are moving into an empowered culture where more questions are asked and more openness is expected, you've got to expect that certain people will have discomfort. Number one, they're worried with all the downsizing that's going on. What if I give you the wrong answer? Neil Postman, a critic of our society, one of the things that he said, we come into school a question mark. We leave a period. All of school is focused on multiple choice, true, false test, and everything has an answer. We're getting into a world now that they're changing the textbooks every month. So what we need to do is create an environment, which takes time, creates a culture, that said, I'm going to ask you legitimate questions, and I don't have all the answers. In fact, I'm open to you giving me different perceptions of what your thoughts are regarding that area, because I may need to make some course corrections. The only thing that gives employees trust is history. If I try and go to a seminar and then I start burning you when you give me input, very quickly you'll climb up and get the old messages. They said it, but they don't mean it. Put your calendar where your mouth is, schedule time with people, and consistently ask those questions. You'll be amazed at the kinds of things you get back.